This is Red Moon Role-Playing.
Let's set the scene. You're no longer in Junction City. You left Junction City to head to Allenstown on the trail of this Samuel Latendresse. And the first place where Victor Latendresse was known to have, well, suspected to have killed a person, this same tenement building in Allenstown. Allenstown is not Junction City, and far from Junction City being a sprawling, resplendent metropolis, it is no New York City. It is no Chicago. Hell, it's no Seattle. Allenstown is even worse. Allenstown is the kind of place where there are all kinds of rumours about how the sheer number of disused, dilapidated, abandoned buildings, 1 in every 4 probably contains a body. There's all kind of rumours about how the economy subsists more off of crime. Everything from drugs and prostitution through to organised hits and probably worse things besides than any kind of legitimate infrastructure. Allenstown is anyone's picture of a dive. No one comes here for work, no one comes here for leisure, and if you're trapped here, well, this is going to feel worse than a lot of prisons. Now you are focused in on one specific building in Allenstown, and this building's mouth has just opened up to you. Like a tongue slapping the ground, the board that was blocking up its main doorway has crashed onto the stoop in front of it, due to the coaxing of Dr. Monty Pages, our Gaki pathologist, who has decided at this point now would be a good time to summon the dead. Because the Gaki are necromancers at heart, and very, very skilled at manipulating the threads of ectoplasm that link them to phantasms, ghosts, spectres, and the like. The house let out a scream. You're not sure whether it's one of anger, whether it feels indignant, whether it's pain or hunger. It could be a combination of all of those things, and indeed you can hear many voices in that scream. But then, Dr. Pages, it does nothing. That doorway, that arch that leads into the building itself, is presenting nothing but void. It is just pure blackness in there. There is no light that emanates from within, and indeed the scant street lights from out here, or indeed the headlights of your car, which are still running while Silas is inside, do not penetrate it. Nevertheless, the scream that the house emitted was unmistakable. There is something alive, if that's the correct word, in here. You have your fingers entwined around something necromantics, Monty. You have definitely pulled on something that has drawn this house's attention. But now that you've got its attention, what are you going to do with it?
I suppose for a moment I pause. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't been extremely anxious. Whilst I certainly, by mortal standards, am durable, I know I'm not invincible. In fact, I'm pretty sure no accursed truly is invincible, at least the ones I know about. No, if things go badly, I can be quite easily destroyed. Well, perhaps not easily, but I can be. And one of those ways is by dealing with things that are significantly more powerful than you, and a little part of me for a moment was worried that's exactly what this was. I'm still worried it is, so perhaps after a moment of an awkward silence, I'm surprised and glad that my attempt there hasn't caused a more aggressive reaction. I wait. I note the lack of reaction then, not even aggression, but just any sort after the initial scream. I suppose I'll try and then say to the wind, as I'm supposed to be able to normally when I conduct a summoning, "Can you hear me? I'm terribly sorry for bothering you. We just want to talk, that's all."
As Dr. Pages makes this entreaty, may I ask, Silas, you are still sat in the car, the window's down because you shouted out to your companions. Are you taking this opportunity to climb out? Or are you remaining safely ensconced?
No. If Dr. Pages is now talking to the house/air, I should probably go and investigate and see what's going on.
Okay, you climb from the car.
I'll turn it off. Take the keys.
There's something rather final about switching off the engine. As it just dies, you realise that the street that you're currently occupying is utterly void of sound. The car was about the only thing keeping it alive, and now it's just Pages calling out to the house, which is unusual, even to a creature like you. How about you, Z? Are you standing beside your friend, your bondmate, or are you keeping back? Maybe observing? What's the play here?
The moment that I recognize that house wasn't a house, my predation kicked into overdrive. I was terrified for a moment that Monty might actually walk into that gaping maw. So I'm out of the vehicle. At some point, I've placed myself between the house and Monty, but as he is communicating with the house and taking an intentional moment to try to establish that connection, I think that fight response is just narrowly starting to coil back. My logic is scratching at the doors like there are things that you should or could be doing that's not just this inherent feral reaction to being threatened by very likely a much larger, much older, much more dangerous predator. And as my logic comes online, I think to myself, this street, this house, this moment, there is a narrow window. It might not even be that narrow where we might not make it out. So I'm going to just very quickly shake my head, sniff. I'm going to reach into the back seat, grab out my satchel, and I'm just going to activate a digital dead drop for, let's say, 72 hours. Where in the event that we are not recovered, we are not heard from, I do not log back into this digital dead drop, my family will at least get every piece of data I have up until this point.
That's very considerate of you, Z. Very family-minded. And so, there is a response. And all of you hear it, as all of you have exited the vehicle. And it is Gestalt. There are multiple voices simultaneously speaking. Yes, we can hear you. We are here. Step inside and speak with us. You are invited and welcome.
That's a wonderful invitation. Thank you so much. Forgive us for hesitating for just a moment, though. We are a little concerned that you might be rather hungry, and we...
No. Not hungry. No, not hungry. Not hungry at all. No. Not hungry. Sated. Full cellars, full attics, full cupboards beneath the stairs. The bedrooms are full and the study is full. Even the hallway is full. We are bursting at the seams. Not hungry. Come inside. Make yourself comfortable.
I mean, we're only here for a little chat. We just wanted to ask you a small little question, and then we were planning to be on our way and leave you be, because I'm sure you're very, very busy. I look awkwardly at the other two.
Yes, that rather paltry excuse does not provoke a response of any kind, not a visible one from the house. Very, very busy, Monty. Even you're thinking to yourself, whenever is a house, a tenement block at that, Well, actually, that's not true. They can be busy. Maybe you're on something. This is the inner monologue right now. But the house itself is not responding to that. Maybe it wants to know what your question is. After all, you did successfully summon it. You did successfully coax its attention. Is it that you have a question?
I pause again for a moment. I'm trying to use my own experience here. On a scale from the most stupid thing we've ever done in our lives to, actually, that's not so bad, do I remotely think that the house simply telling us it's not going to eat us is even remotely good enough to even chance going into what may very well be our instantaneous deaths?
No.
I didn't think so.
This is not an entity bound by truth. Certainly some creatures are, and this isn't really a creature. This, at least audibly, appears to be multiple spirits bound to one location to the point that they have transformed the location into something of a locus of death and undeath. There is nothing to compel it to tell the truth. It may be, but equally it may not.
It makes sense. I can command the dead, but this is several dead. Perhaps the best tactic, I think to myself, is to... It does seem to at least want to speak for the moment. Maybe it's bored. Let's see what we can do with asking some questions and seeing what happens. You see, we are concerned deeply for an individual, and we want to help them, and maybe you can help us with that. Does the name L'Entendresse mean anything to any of you?
The house appears to ripple and shudder before you. I don't mean it quakes and dust falls from the rafters or anything like that. It is as if it wavers into and out of existence at a rapid speed, like its edges are a bare film that, well, feel like a portal or a quivering gullet. Yes, a new voice is at the front. L'Entendresse. French. Very familiar name. Do you know L'Entendresse? Of course he knows L'Entendresse. He wouldn't ask if he didn't know L'Entendresse. Yes, but how does he know L'Entendresse? Is he working with L'Entendresse? Maybe he wants to see L'Entendresse, and that's why he's here. We are L'Entendresse. You come in here, you can be L'Entendresse as well.
Well, you see, we're looking for Victor L'Entendresse, but we don't believe he's here. But is his brother, perhaps? Brother.
No. Brother is a ruse, a lie, a fiction. Brother died long time ago. You don't need to tell him all of that. Yes, but it doesn't hurt to be honest, does it? No, his brother, Samuel, lovely boy from what we know, perfectly innocent, no harm done to a fly, ant, or a small worm. No, Samuel L'Entendresse, Samuel L'Entendresse. Dead as any one of the doornails in this building. From the age of 3 years old.
I look back to the others and raise an eyebrow at that information. And then I say quickly, "Oh, forgive me, but how would you all know? Did he come here? It's strange you'd know that. I'm just curious."
Enough now. You have taken from us, now we take from you. Make an offering, a tribute. We are mighty, and we are many. You are few, and just because you are stood on the sidewalk in our shadow does not mean you are safe from us. This entire street is us.
I look around at that comment, considering narratively I had activated my hidden sight for this moment, this scene, and it would still be active. Do I suddenly then at this information sense that this is true? The house actually extends to the whole street somehow.
Well, that's a good question. Whether the house again is telling the truth or not is neither here nor there. What you can see is from all around you, down each end of this street now, the shadows appear to be moving, almost like humanoid shapes. And I say almost like humanoid shapes. Parts are missing. Some of them only appear to be hopping on one leg. Others seem to be missing heads, or there are cavernous holes in chests. Lethal wounds, mortal wounds, on all of these shadowy figures that are crawling free from windows, drains, emerging from alleys. They're not moving at speed. Hell, you could probably dive back in the car and drive right out of here and there would be no harm done to you. But there are a lot of them. You can't count how many there are, because when the shadows move, they are moving through each other. It's very difficult to get a sense of bodies. Maybe 20, possibly more. Why don't you come inside? It's safe inside. It's Silas. Silas?
Yeah?
Silas, is that you? Is that actually you?
Do I know you?
Well, I grant you it's been some time, but it's Angel. I'm here. I'm here. You've finally found me. You've finally come for me. I'm in here with the rest of them. We're all here. It's like some terrible sorority house where we're all dead. And the company is pretty miserable, I can tell you that. Oh my God, I have prayed, I have begged, I have hoped and wished for, I don't know how long I've been here, that it's not like we have a calendar. But it's been years, decades, hasn't it? It has been decades. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yeah, I can. And Silas is rapidly doing mental math because he wants this to be Angel desperately wants this to be the sister, but so many people have lied to him today, over the course of this case, over the course of his existence, and he's just not sure. It's too convenient, it's too patent. Nothing in his life as an accursed has ever been that convenient.
Almost as if to echo your doubt, there's a shut up. They're not our friends. They are our guests. Come on in, otherwise you don't wish to be forced. And there is a drawing of air, as if the house itself is breathing in, inhaling drastically, and you can feel it sucking at your clothes and skin. It isn't nearly forceful enough to take you off your feet, but there is a strength there. Now, I'm going to ask from each of you now. I'm going to start with Z. Z, you're of course aware of all of this. You can hear all of this taking place. This is remarkable. If there wasn't this convection of wind right now, you'd be noting all this down on your notepad, but you wouldn't want to lose your pen or the paper. You are, like Dr. Page is now, aware of these converging shadows, and for as long as this house keeps you talking, the shadows are drawing in closer and closer, tighter and tighter. It is not well lit here anyway, but it is getting darker. It's like a spotlight, but inverse of one. that's drawing in tight around you. So Z, do you have any thoughts? Do you have any plans?
If the house can sense this, sniff this out of me, feel it on the periphery, the house knows I'm going inside. The house knows. I know. I'm allowing my friends to do their whatever it is they need to do to work through their fears and their anxieties, but I already have the backpack strapped to my shoulder. I've been in situations like this before, especially my first encounter with an accursed. I know what it feels like to look this train down in the eyes as it's coming down the tracks. At the cross-section of my own unbridled curiosity, this isn't bravery, this is, let's call it what it is, it's just that unbridled curiosity. This is an opportunity, this is an experience. I'm going into that house.
So you striding forward and walking over the threshold?
I would love to say that it's something as elegant as striding, but I think at this point I'm teetering on that line, that primal line. I think I actually probably going to bound 2 or 3 times, probably in a quadruped motion, where it's just from grass to the walkway to the overgrown grass, up the first flight of stairs directly onto the porch. And at that point, I'll lift from this quadruped stance onto a more upright, a bipedal stance, and I'm going to look around the door. Oh, I'm certainly going to accept that invitation. You have given to us, and you want something in return.
You are quite welcome.
I'm going to turn around and look at my friends. I'm just going to make direct eye contact with both of them. They've seen this before. I'm just on that corner of too far gone. Z is absolutely going into this house, unapologetically.
Z's curiosity has often got the better of her, but it does often result likewise in her yielding results, if not almost certain death. But this does leave Monty and Silas out on the doorstep, basically. And the question is, are you going to try and stop her?
Having looked down for a moment and been distracted by the oncoming shades of the dead, I confess I did lose sight of Z, and I look dumbfounded as she gets that close to the door, and I do just lift my hand and say, Z, we might want to rethink this just a little?
That sounds like the perfect time for her just to slip directly inside the door.
Z, you disappear from sight. Rarefied. Come, join her. She's safe. She's welcome. Safer than out there in Allenstown.
I look at Silas. I let out a big sigh. I can't let Z be
Silas, I promise we're not going to hurt her or you or anyone else. Please, get inside. The shadows out there have a lot less wherewithal than us in here.
Silas turns his back on the house and puts a hand on Dr. Page's shoulder and says, I'm gonna go step out. And Dr. Pages knows that Silas, when he says stepping out, that means he's going to leave his body behind. So he's going to go sit back in the car and push the seat back like he's going to sleep. But then he lets go, slides out of the body, and first sees if anything looks different now that he's incorporeal.
So, now that you're incorporeal and able to see these shadows, in truth for what each of them are, they aren't quite phantasms. Even phantasms are hollow reflections of a dead person. These are vestiges, slices of dead people. These are just traumas. That is all they are. Traumas and haunts that can do little else but a simple programmed if that's the correct word, action. In this case, you suspect as they are converging now on you still. You are still visible to them, even though you are out of body. Monty is the primary target. After all, he's the one who awoke them. And you think they are going to restrain and drag, if necessary. And they will harm him as they do so. They will rip at him, because each time they consume something of a creature like Page's, they will gain strength, and they will even gain a little sentience. From a certain point of view, he could make himself a tribute here, and all of these traumas would feel a lot better as a result. Not that that's necessarily a transaction that's going through your mind right now, Silas. The voice reaches you again. Please don't be afraid, Silas. Please. Your hat. Your hat. You can trust me. I've got your hat is in here. It's in here. It's in this house.
Silas is still conflicted, but he's coming closer to an answer. And because I'm holding at least 2 curse dice, I'll use my manifestation spell to appear before Monty. And Silas appears in his original body, wearing a very old suit, actually has the fedora that he's been groping for his entire existence. And he tells Monty, I'm going to go get Z. I'll be right back.
Seeing you appear and say that, and looking around and assessing the situation, I realize I only have 2 options. Option number 1 is get into a car, drive off, and leave my friends, my allies, some of the only ones I have, especially at a time where I've been making a few enemies, to possibly be alright, or possibly die horribly, if I even get away in time. Or option 2, maybe we have a chance if we try and play the game of diplomacy. If we play the game of not making threats and boasts, but appearing subservient and weak and small, maybe this sort of entity will be entertained or amused. So as he says that, all I say is, taking a low bow, quite an old-fashioned bow, to the house. You know, my mother always used to say it's very rude to leave people waiting on doorsteps, and vice versa. I believe you are all demonstrating excellent manners. It would be awfully rude of me, wouldn't it? I suppose I can come in for a cup of tea? And I'll start walking to the house.
Alright, Silas, you have gone on just slightly ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And so we enter this house, this tenement block of the dead. For that is exactly what it is, and passing over that threshold, the door uprights and slams behind you. Not that it makes any noise, there's no echoing boom, it just wedges itself back in the frame. It is now blocked again. Z, you're a little further into the building than anyone else, but you are still aware that there's a sudden ambient change when your companions enter behind you. You haven't become trapped, restrained, grappled, or anything like that. But this place is dark to the point of no visibility. So you are stumbling around and having to feel your way down a hallway where it looks like at one point someone may have tried to affix wallpaper. You think it's wallpaper. There's something flaky and paper-like on these walls that seems to come apart whenever your fingers touch it. There is a noxious odour that fills your nose and mouth whenever you take breath. It is a smell of old death about this place. Like, there are probably corpses about this area that aren't necessarily eviscerated and being let of their blood. They are just mouldering, steadily decomposing. This place is a tomb. You continue to stumble. Now I'm going to ask, do any of you have any kind of spell, or indeed ability, that enables you to see in the dark?
No.
Well, does Tenebra's sight count? After all, I still have 3 curse dice, so if this is a new scene, I could just activate it again.
I would say that you can continue to use Tenebra's sight. It's not going to reveal everything. This isn't infravision. But to really date myself there, but it will tell you if there is. It will give you a sense of when there is something to investigate.
That makes sense. After all, it does say the ability that when it comes to magical concealment, I do need to make rolls and so on. Yes. So in that case, yes, my eyes adjust a little, but maybe not enough to fully reveal things.
Just as a point of clarity, as I'm stumbling down this hallway, fingernails scratching through what I hope is decaying wallpaper, does this feel like a supernatural darkness, or does it just feel like a complete and whole absence of light?
It seems to be supernatural. The light here has been consumed just as much as any life in here.
Okay.
The fact that there is any light at all is probably symptomatic of the fact that you are here, Z. If it was just Silas and just Monty, the fact that they are absent of a spark of life, they are dead and undead, respectively, it would probably be pitch dark. But here you create the light, albeit only a glimmer.
So I'm going to pause for just a moment. I'm going to keep my left hand on the wall that's been guiding me, and I'm going to turn and place my right hand on it. And I'm almost going to do like that feline kneading stretch thing where I arch my back and I start pawing, kneading into the wallpaper to get it to just kind of like gently scratch off like a cat going after a post. And I'm just going to murmur to the wall, "Help me see you. Help me hear you."
As you are kneading at the wall, and of course, Silas, you are able to just about perceive this, but it's you, Monty, who can see this most clearly. The strange demonstration from Z, but it seems to be effective because a woman bleeds from the wall. I don't mean she just seeps out from one plane to the other. I mean, she pours out in drops, slow-moving drops that coagulate to form the shape of a woman, much in the same way as Silas came together earlier, although her light is dim as well. You can all hear her. Z, you got the best sense of her. And Monty, you've got the best sight of her. She is a middle-aged lady. Her wrists are open. There is no blood flowing from them. These are old wounds, and after all, she isn't really physical. She looks sad. "Welcome to the house. Welcome to the La Tendresse house, I suppose," and she looks up, and then down. More of a block of flats than a house, but whoever heard of a haunted block of flats? It's very rare that those touched with curses make their way in here willingly. Rare to the point of not since 1970, I forget. And there's a voice that calls out. 72. Thank you, Angel.
Is that so? Well, what can we say? You were so...
I was speaking to the young woman that was gracious enough to accept our invitation without grudge, without doubt. I was speaking to this beating heart of vitality, and you can see, Monty, that this ghastly figure is looking Z over in a way that Z cannot see, but you can certainly sense. Z, you can certainly sense that you are being surveyed like a piece of meat in a butcher shop right now. Yes, vital essences here. Very rare, but we cannot choose. We cannot pick. That is for Victor to do. It's his house, after all.
I simply lower my body language, bow, and say, "My apologies."
And yet still you interrupt.
We are learning in real time. I would ask for grace.
We all want grace. We all seek the sweet hereafter, but it is denied to every one of us. Every one of us. Every one of us. We are all here at his command. An even older woman starts peeling down the stairs. She seems to be part of the fabric, and again, Monty, you've got the best sight of her, but Silas, you feel a connection. It's a familial connection, moving closer towards you. The vibes, I suppose, is the correct term, of a fury, the seething anger that is still with this older woman despite her long being dead. Why did you come here? To seek out Samuel? Samuel is dead. Samuel is a name on a gravestone, she says. You must be so confused, unable to see. Young woman, says the voice from the staircase, shed some blood, cut yourself, and spread the light. Let your blood merge with the floorboards, and illumination will follow. Plus, the more voracious mouths in here might be sated for a while.
There are so many thoughts running through my head at lightning fire. Everything from the one thing you don't do is give something that's starving a taste, because a taste is always not going to be enough. A taste is a dare. There's also the thought that shedding blood may be some form of a contract. For all I know, shedding my blood here may be binding. It may bind me to the house. It may put me in a position where I am unable to escape. And all while I am having this conversation, it's not stopping me from the fact that I flipped out a small pocket knife from a pocket and I'm just getting ready to open up my palm.
I'd like to give you a momentum to the group here, because Z is about to, unless you, Monty, intervene, to do something disastrous. I'm going to say, because of the stressful situation, esoterica plus resolve, rather than intellect or cunning. And as this is happening, Silas, what are you even playing at? Why are you... I'm grateful that you're here. You can't see her. I'm grateful that you're here. I could actually sense you. I could feel you for the first time in years. But this place will consume you. But I'm so glad you're here. You could stay here with me, with us, with all of us. It would be such a relief to have someone whose mind is in one piece, whose spirit hasn't been shredded. How did your roll go, Monty?
4 hits, and 2 are on the cursed dice.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, in that case, you are damn certain that while you're unaware of Z's inner monologue, the doubts that are racking her brain, you are crucially aware of the fact that, yes, this would be a little like dropping blood into a piranha tank, were this a 1970s spy movie. It would send the dead in here, who, despite all claims to the contrary, are hungry. I mean, this is what this house seeks to do. It just seeks to fill itself with life. It is a bottomless bucket, and you can just keep pouring life into it, and it will keep swallowing it. That's all it wants. At its most basic. It doesn't mean it's impossible to communicate with it. It's still quite possible. I'm giving you all of this because of your wicked success. Yes, you might be able to get something useful from this environment. In fact, you almost certainly can if you're smart about it. But if you feed it, it isn't going to suddenly say, well, thank you very much, I'm done.
I will not raise my voice. I'm rapidly learning the house's temperament, so I'll say this quietly, but Z can hear me, and say, no, that wouldn't be a very fair deal. We came in like you asked. But while we're willing to negotiate, that deal would not be fair to us. We just came in, all three of us. You said we could chat and be safe. We've barely begun. We're willing to negotiate for food, but not that. No, let's get you something better than a little blood. Isn't that right, Z?
2 of my eyes blink, and then all 8 of them blink, and I just kind of stammer, and I look towards the direction that Monty's voice is coming, and it sounds like he's telling me not to do something that inherently I was prepared to do.
That is correct. It's up to you if you want to roll to see whether you do it anyway, or if you are content to follow his advice. He got enough successes, or enough hits, I should say. He got enough hits that it is entirely your choice.
The blade is in my hand, and the very tip is just so close to just pushing past the skin through that next thin layer and just opening up blood. But I know Monty. And I know when he's speaking to me, I know when he's speaking around me, and I know when he's speaking at a level that's between the two. And I can hear that warning, despite the fact that he didn't openly articulate it. And I stop. And I look towards where his voice is coming from, because I can't see him. I can feel him. I can probably smell him, but I can't see him. No, we would want a fair arrangement. We would want a fair deal.
Disappointing. Very disappointing.
And as we step forward, seeing how the situation's going, I'm realizing that time could very well be of the essence, and I have noticed that whatever happens, this house is a reactionary one. That makes sense. Some people are calm and collected, but some people aren't, and this house is clearly many. So I simply say, in a conversational tone, so why did you ring the television people? Why did you want to tell them a story?
Can I ask you to make a persuasion and manipulation roll, Craig? There is a complication on this. It's a moderate one. The moderate complication, if you do not buy it off, this means you need 2 additional hits beyond your simple difficulty of 1. Is if you have not bought off the complication, it will affect a vampiric drain. It will just feed via osmosis. A lot of the qualities or dread powers, specifically in Curseborne, are triggered by complications, which is to say an antagonist or adversary cannot use its power unless you fail. To give you an example, a lion will be able to attack you, bite you, claw you, whatever, because it can still roll a dice pool. But it won't be able to rend you unless you fail to buy off the complication associated with fighting it. In this case, this haunted tenement building can start draining you if you fail to buy off the complication while interacting with it. It isn't playing around anymore.
Is it fair to say that Monty's primarily doing this to make sure to help Z not make a bad decision?
Yeah.
Then, if you want to, Craig, you can also maybe consider adding your bonds to Z as additional enhancement to your roll.
Yeah, we've utilised bonds once or twice, I think, in this campaign. It's time to bring them to the fore again.
Actually, that is excellent, because, yes, I do want information, but also the whole reason I'm in this situation is I do not want to leave my friends to die. So would that give you then 2 more dice?
No, it won't give you 2 more dice. It'll give you 2 automatic hits if you roll even 1 hit.
Well, that is even better, because I got 2 successes.
Okay, so with 2 hits and an additional 2 hits, that's 4 hits in total, which means you overcome the difficulty and the complication. It should be noted that the complication would have targeted Z, and not you, but as it is, Z, you feel the air around you get cooler, if that's possible, but you do not feel any further deleterious effects. Come through, follow me. This is the voice that's identifying itself as Angel's. You feel a hand clasp yours, Silas. You don't need to be with the rest of them. Come through here. This one's mine. This one's mine! You think she's addressing the rest of the house. Fine. Yes, take.
Silas lets go of her hand.
What? Silas, I know you can't see me. What can I say? What can I do?
What you can do is manifest, so I can see you.
You won't like what you see.
If you are who you say you are, I'll take it.
And so, even though your eyesight is limited here, you are able to see her. When Angel does manifest before you, it is a sadly horrific sight, Silas. You didn't follow her. You're still stood in this lobby. You've got a staircase to your left. There is a phantasm upon it. There's the long hallway. Z and Monty are further down it. Here you are stood. Angel is before you. And yeah, she looks vaguely like the young woman that you knew when you first, entered your damnation. But she looks emaciated, drawn. There are no eyeballs in those sockets. And her eyes, well, you'd remember her eyes even with their absence. You remember them, but her cheekbones are incredibly prominent. Her neck bears a ghastly wound, which is sealed over with a black ichor, but it looks like someone opened her throat, which, given that she was dead, you can't imagine how this could have occurred. But despite her horrendous state, it is Angel. You can be confident enough to say.
Next question I have is, given what Silas knows about the dead, is there any way to bring her back? Or is she permanently in this shredded state? In terms of, can she leave the house? Can she become a full-functioning dead again?
Not without the assistance from a very influential dead. This is beyond your ability. There are certainly tales that shattered spaces that are filled with phantasms, places like this, can be broken down and their component pieces freed. I mean, it sounds like the stuff of fairy tales. It's all very aspirational. The idea of you are never without hope. A lot of accursed like to say that, and that is almost a byline people like to live or unlive by. You are never without hope. Even though you are accursed, you are never without hope. But it is outside of your ability. You would need to pull in a massive favour with someone, incredibly potent, incredibly powerful. Whether that is a Gaki, whether that is a cognate of the dead, an elder of your own family. There are probably people you can call upon, but what are they going to ask for in return? Then again, is that even a concern of yours right now that you can see her?
He looks her up and down. There's no sign of revulsion or disgust on his face. He manifests so she can see it himself. And he's like, Angel, I love you, but you gotta go. We gotta get you out of here.
I can't just leave.
And I can't leave my friends either. You know that. If you know me, you know that.
You need to know that I want I need you and your friends to stay, but when I say that, you know what's saying that, don't you?
I do.
Because I also... And you know she wants to tell you to leave. But she can't. There is an actual block in place. She can't bring herself to flee. Not now that she can see you so well. I was led here. I was brought here to this building 50 years ago, Silas. I've been here. It's 50 years, isn't it? Oh, 50 years.
Yeah.
We
never knew.
There weren't many of us then.
I'll get you out of here. Do you trust me? Do you trust me?
I trust you to do something stupid.
Then there you go. I'll get you out of here.
From the cacophony of voices that we heard outside and the voices that we're hearing inside, are these all women's voices? Have we heard a male's voice or a male presenting voice at all?
They're all women's or femme presenting voices.
Wow, Victor Latendresse really, really, really hates accursed women. Okay.
Does Z say this out loud?
Out loud, absolutely. As it dawns on her, she almost can't stop that from spilling out of her mouth.
No, 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 Victor loves accursed women. He loves his mother. Victor is a good boy. It feels like the house itself is talking now, not any of the individual spirits. Victor's a good boy. Victor loves his mother. Victor loves accursed women. Victor likes to collect accursed women, especially when they remind him of his dear mummy.
I say, again, quietly and politely, could you say he hearts some, yes, and he hearts some not? He loves some, but some not. Who doesn't he love?
And one of the voices calls out, he made it hurt for me because I put up too much of a fight. I thought it would be easier if I just let him do what he wanted. He kept telling me inside my head that I reminded him of his mother, and it made me feel so sick. I just thought if I gave him what he wanted, he'd leave me alone. He hearts some. He hearts not others.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the scenario Suffer My Sins for Curseborne, which is published by Onyx Path Publishing. Story guide was Maciej Dawkins, and we were also joined by Bridgett, Jeffries, and Eddy, Webb. The music was created by Atrium Carceri and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Please check out cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more of their lovely dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, Lily, Mike Parker, Maciej, and Black Templar for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to our Call of Cthulhu bonus campaign Shadows of Yog-Sothoth with Matthew as our keeper, as well as bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay there. On top of that, we also offer early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that the world is cursed.